Welcome to Against the Spread, where we pick games for you against the spread. American Thanksgiving edition this week as we get a couple extra bonus games on Thursday night. Hopefully all of them happen. Let's quickly get into those before we get into anything else. G-Lo, and the first one, and all these games are actually pretty even. Houston goes to Detroit. Two struggling teams, but I think they might be going in different directions. That's why, even though they're on the road, the Texans are minus 3-point favorites. Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, I like the Texans in this one, and it's mostly because of the way that Deshaun Watson is playing. He played lights out in their win over the Patriots on the weekend, and another huge factor is the fact that the Lions just no-showed against Carolina, and I would probably take the Texans even if the Lions were playing decent at this point in time, but they were abysmal over the weekend, and so the Texans here is a pretty easy pick for me.
Yeah, Watson playing out of his mind, not in the MVP conversation because of the wins and certainly the counting stats, but still degree of difficulty. He's playing really well. And Matt Stafford played last week, but he's clearly banged up. He's on the injury report again this week. So I am with you and with the Texans. The Washington football team goes to Dallas. And at the beginning of the year, I did not think this was going to be Alex Smith versus Andy Dalton. But here we are, and the Cowboys are favored by 3. Who do you like in this matchup?
This is an interesting one because the last time these two teams met, Washington completely dominated the Cowboys, but we saw what might have been the best offensive output from the Cowboys since Dak Prescott got hurt on the weekend. Still, I'm going to lean with the defense, and I'm going to lean with Washington. I think that defense can give Andy Dalton a lot of problems, and I'm not completely sold on the Cowboys, even though they won last weekend, so give me Washington.
The Cleveland Browns are second in the AFC North and are in a good position for a playoff spot right now. And they go to Jacksonville looking to add to that win total of 7-3, and they are 7-point favorites going to Jacksonville as the road team. Who do you like in this one?
I can't lie. I thought twice about this one when I first saw the spread, and I'm not really sure why, but my gut said to go with the Jaguars. But my gut too many times this year has failed me miserably. And with news that it sounds like Mike Glennon is going to be starting for the Jaguars on Sunday, has even solidified my distrust of my gut even more. The way that the Browns are playing right now with Chubb and Hunt both healthy, they're running the ball really well, back to what they're really good at. And I think they're going to be able to take care of the Jags and cover a touchdown spread. Jacksonville's just not been a good team the last 8 weeks.
Yeah, Jacksonville has not been a good team for the balance of my adult life. And I realized that Mike Glennon was still a professional football player when I learned that he may be getting the starting reps this week in practice and could lead them to potentially a victory at home. I don't think they're going to win. I don't think it's going to be close. I am with Cleveland in this one as well. The odds makers think this one is going to be close, even though the teams have opposing records. The Arizona Cardinals go to the New England Patriots. The spread is just 2.5 points, and it actually opened as a pick'em, but now the Cardinals are favorites to go to New England. I'm actually a bit surprised by this number. Are you?
It's an interesting one because I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the Cardinals have to go on the road and play in New England in what could be, not great conditions. That would be my guess. But the Seahawks made the Cardinals look pretty human for the first time in a while when we watched them last play on Thursday, but I'm skeptical that the Patriots defense can do the same thing to Kyler Murray and what has been a really explosive offense so far this year. The Patriots are just uncharacteristically sloppy on defense this year with a lot of guys out. And I think we're going to see a bounce back from Kyler, who really didn't run all that well, let alone pass all that well against Seattle. I think that they bounce back, they get the run game going, and I think they win this game by at least a field goal, probably more.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny because what the Patriots are hoping to get out of camp is what the Cardinals, for the most part this year, have gotten out of Kyler Murray, and I didn't think, again, that was something that I would have said, if we were having this conversation at the start of the season a year ago, but here we are. I do like the Cardinals. I think this number is a little too small. I'm actually surprised it's this close. I just think, aside from the coaching staffs, I think the Cardinals are better in all facets of the game, so I'll take them to win by at least 3. Carolina goes to Minnesota. And I know the Vikings are certainly trending in the right direction, aside from a hiccup last week. But 4.5 points, favorites at home over the Carolina Panthers. Is that too many points for you to trust Kirk Cousins and company?
I think any points are too many for me to trust Kirk Cousins. And this one's a tough one because recency bias is probably going to play a role in a lot of people picking, because the Panthers just shut out the Lions, as we referred to earlier. But it's really hard to tell whether that was the Panthers or the Lions being really bad. And I'm going to lean more towards the Lions being really bad, because we haven't seen defense like that from the Panthers consistently. It's actually been the opposite, where they've been roasted for tons of yards and given up at least 30 points a game. And like you said, the Vikings offense is playing really well right now. I think this game could end up being pretty high scoring, depending on what we get from the Panthers. They've shown even with PJ Walker, they can put up points. But I do like Dalvin Cook and the offense for the Vikings to get going in this one and be able to win by that spread. But Adam Thielen is a pretty big question mark right now, so I think that plays a big role in which way I would go if I were betting on Sunday. But right now, I think I'll take the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Panthers because both teams have some health question marks that will get some clarity as we get closer to kickoff. Is Christian McCaffrey going to be back anytime soon? Is Teddy Bridgewater going to be back? We thought he was active for about 20 minutes, and then we learned that he was inactive on Sunday. PJ Walker has shown that it hasn't really mattered. Mike Davis has shown that it hasn't really mattered who's in the Panthers backfield. They've been pretty steady, not spectacular, but not doing anything to make you lose games. Kirk Cousins at times has done some things to make you lose games. In his security blanket has been Thielen. So if he is hampered or not playing, that really changes the way I look at the Vikings. And so I'm actually going to roll with the Panthers and take the points as some insurance in this one. The Las Vegas Raiders look like the second best team in football when they play the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, they're not playing the Chiefs this week, but they are favorite. Again, another road favorite. They go to Atlanta. The spread's just 3 points. And again, this started as a pick 'em. Who do you like in this one?
I think the Raiders have shown us with those 2 performances against the Chiefs that this team is for real, and that the first win wasn't fluky. The offense moved the ball at will against a Chiefs defense this year that has been above average. And so when it comes to playing against the Falcons, I expect them to be able to go on the road and move the ball, maybe not as well. I think they were at the top of their game on Sunday night, but I think they'll be able to take care of business against what is a bottom 10 ranked Atlanta defense. And so based on everything that we saw from them on the weekend and the fact that the Falcons really couldn't put anything together against the Saints, I really like the Raiders in this one. I think the spread is more than fair.
I love the Raiders in this one. I'm surprised the spread is even this close. The Raiders, by far the better team. They're 6-4 on the year, but more importantly, for our purposes, they're 7-3 against the spread. If you're still in a survivor pool, this is not going to be my survivor pick, but if you want to go a little bit off the board because some of the big dogs are gone, I do think I like the Raiders in this spot. And the big reason is because of Derek Carr. Like you talked about them being for real. I had questions on whether or not Derek Carr was for real. Let's be honest. John Gruden had questions on whether or not Derek Carr was for real. There's talk about him being replaced in the draft, him being replaced potentially by Tom Brady. But, he's had 6 games this year where he's completed 70% or more of his balls. And with Gruden, that is an offense that looks to push the ball down the field. He's played really, really well. And so I like the Raiders in this spot big time. The quarterback that didn't play well this past week is Tua. But we are being assured he's going to play again. The Jets really haven't gotten good quarterback play out of anybody. How does that impact the way you look at this game, given Tua's recent struggles as the Dolphins are going to New York and are 7-point favorites, a full touchdown.
I think from a football standpoint, it has to be concerning for Dolphins fans to watch what happened with Tua on Sunday. But when it comes to me picking this game, I'm not gonna let recency bias really impact my pick here because of what we've seen from the Dolphins in the big picture, and especially the last time they played the Jets when they shut them out, and that was without Tua. So I think in every facet of the game, this Dolphins team is not only better than the Jets, but they're well coached and probably better coached than most teams in the NFL. And I think that's where the Dolphins will be able to win this game and be able to cover. I think they can do it on defense, special teams, and I think they'll find a way to get to a clicking again after what was a pretty bad week at Denver.
Yeah, well coached is not something you can say about the Jets whatsoever.
Nope.
And it's funny. I'm not sure if the Steelers will be able to run the table and stay undefeated, but I am somewhat confident the Jets are going to be able to run the table and stay winless. And as bad as they've been, 0-10 is the record right now. And they've had some huge lines against them. It's been a point of conversation. Like, can the Jets really lose by this many points? More often than not, the answer is yes, because they're 3-7 against the spreads. So 7 points, given that we were pretty comfortable, whether it was 9.5 or 10 or more to go against the Jets. And most of the times we've been right. I'm going to stay streaming against the Jets, and I'm going to go with the Dolphins in this one to cover the 7 points. I think Tua bounces back, his first real speed bump in his career. So two franchises who have had a couple speed bumps in recent memory, the New York Giants, the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals had some real hope because Joe Burrow was looking like he was putting himself in the Rookie of the Year conversation until he blew out his ACL and his MCL, and will have a restructure of that knee, hoping to come back next year. Daniel Jones, still the New York Giants quarterback, still turning the ball over, which is why I was a bit surprised that they were favored by 5.5 points. The line started as Cincy -3. Naturally, what happens with the quarterback has made it swing all the way in the other direction. But is it too far in the other direction?
I don't think so. I think without Burrow, the rest of the season looks pretty bleak for these Bengals. I know Ryan Finley came in and didn't play well in place of Joe Burrow. 3 for 10 passing, interception, was sacked 4 times. It now sounds like it's going to be Brandon Allen who goes on Sunday against the Giants. He just came up off the practice squad, and there's just nothing there that convinces me that they'll be able to hang with anybody, even if it's a Giants team that hasn't been the most reliable this year. And the Giants come in with a lot to play for. They can take the lead in the division if they're able to win this game, and I think they're going to be able to do that. The defense has been good all year, and Daniel Jones is playing better, so I think they'll be able to take advantage of a Bengals team that's really hurting after losing their superstar for the season.
Yeah, I mean, they could also tie for the lead in the division if they just tie this game. Like, no one really wants to win the NFC East. This is interesting game for me. It's like, two franchises led by head coaches who I had never heard of before they got their jobs, and I'm still not certain if they deserve their jobs, but here we are. I'm actually going to go with the Bengals, not because I think they're very good. I just don't think the Giants are good enough to beat anybody by 6 or more points, and so I think the bowl of mediocrity that we'll see in Cincinnati will be relatively close, and so I'll just take the extra points as some insurance and go with the Bengals.
What really hurts about that is that the Giants beat the Eagles by 6 points, so not quite anybody, but mostly anybody.
True enough, but I would argue that the Eagles beat themselves by
Fair
6 points.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. The Chargers also have a fantastic rookie QB, who physically is so imposing, and Justin Herbert. I think maybe the only QB that's that young and that is physically gifted that we can really compare him to might be Josh Allen, and those two go up against each other. Buffalo at home. Favored by 5.5 points. Does that sound about right? Where are you leading in this game?
I think that is about right, considering what we expect from the Bills and where the Chargers have been at. But I think I'm going to lean with the Chargers in this. I really like what Justin Herbert has done. It's impossible not to. He's passing the ball like he's a top 10 quarterback already, and he's not even played a full season yet. I think that it's going to be a Bills win in this one, but I think it's going to be closer than normal for multiple reasons. Mostly because the Chargers just tend to lose one score games. It's their specialty. Along with Herbert being dynamic, they also lose heartbreakers. So my prediction is they lose another heartbreaker in Buffalo.
Yeah, the Chargers have found a uncanny way to keep games close that they've been well in the lead of, and to come back and get some meaningless points to keep games close that weren't really that close. And the Bills really have played up or down to their opponents all year, despite their 7-3 record. And I probably see the same thing happening on Sunday. So I'm going to go with the dog as well and take the Chargers in this one. Tennessee goes to Indy. Indy is favored by 3.5 points. I guess I shouldn't really be all that surprised that Indy's favored, just because they've been playing a lot better and been more convincing than Tennessee. But the two teams have the same record. Where are you leaning in this one?
Just like when these two teams played a couple weeks ago, I think this is not only going to be a really fascinating game and have huge implications in the division, but also be pretty close. I bet on that last time I took the Colts. They ended up winning bigger, but because of some fluky special teams plays, I think these two teams playing really well right now are going to play each other close. And so 3.5 is just a bit too big for me. I think this ends up being a field goal, and so I'm going to take the Titans.
I'm going to take the Titans as well. Again, I think it's a field goal game that could go either way. If this line was 1 or 2 for Tennessee, I wouldn't be that surprised. And so I like the value there. I'm going to take them, especially at that number that really changes things at 3.5. I like Tennessee for sure. San Fran goes to the Los Angeles Rams. If we were doing this game a year ago, this line probably would be flipped, but it's not. San Fran are dogs by 7 points, not favored. And in LA, at times it looked like they might be a team worthy of competing for a Super Bowl. Who do you like in this one?
This is an interesting one because, as you said, the Rams are playing really well right now, but they're also, watching Monday night, they made some mistakes and they allowed the Bucs to hang around in a game where they really dominated. And with it being a division game, I just have a feeling that San Francisco is going to end up playing this one a bit closer. They're super banged up, but they're really well coached. I think they're going to want to come out for this one and make a statement against the team that's now in the division lead after a pretty good run. So I'm going to take the 49ers to make this one more of a game than the spread suggests.
I'm actually going to take the Rams. Sean McVay did such a good job getting the ball out of Jared Goff's hands quick, and really putting that offense in position to succeed. Now, listen, Kyle Shanahan does the same thing on his end. He just doesn't really have the tools or the weapons, and that defense is so banged up to make the options so vast for McVay, especially when that pass rush has not been nearly the same because of those injuries that have hampered them. So I think I like the Rams in this one, in two teams that, because of health, have really gone in opposite directions this year. Health has not been an issue for the New Orleans Saints. We thought maybe they'd have to take a step back because Drew Brees is out once again due to injury, but Taysom Hill made a fool out of me and made a profit out of Sean Payton. Played really, really well. Did he complete, a pass that looked like a punt? Yes, but he still completed it, still rushed for 2 touchdowns, and still looked really, really good in a win. Now they go on the road to Denver, playing against the Broncos and that defense that has looked a little bit better over the last month at altitude. Who do you like in this one with the spread? 5.5 points for the road Saints.
Yeah, Taysom Hill and the offense was really fun to watch. I think with Sean Payton at the helm, they're always going to have a good game plan, but I'm still a little bit skeptical about what the Saints offense can do with Taysom Hill if things don't go their way. That said, it's not the offense that I really love with the Saints. It's the way that defense is playing. After a really tough start to the season, they're one of the best defenses over the last 3 games. They've allowed fewer than 250 yards per game, including less than 50 yards on the ground. They've got 9 turnovers and 13 sacks, including 8 last week against the Falcons. So I'm going to take the Saints, and it has less to do with Taysom Hill and more to do with the fact that defense is playing up to its full potential finally.
Yeah, I mean, they're allowing, an NFL low 8.3 yards per pass in the last 3 weeks. That defense has really started to step up, and they're not allowing many completions. And then Taysom Hill, he only had 2 pass attempts as a high in a game. And all he does is say, well, I mean, I'm not a prolific passer necessarily, but I'm still going to rush for 2 TDs and rush for 50-plus yards. First Saints QB to do that since 1971. So I feel a lot more comfortable continuing to pick the Saints, which I've done a bunch this year, given that Taysom is playing so well. So if I could only watch one game this week, this would be the one. Maybe the most exciting QB that I've seen going against arguably the greatest. The Chiefs go to Tampa Bay. They're 3.5-point favorites. We saw the juxtaposition of these two QBs. Tom Brady trying to lead a late comeback and not quite able to do it. And Patrick Mahomes doing it and making it look really, really easy. Who do you like in this game?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. When Mahomes got the ball on Sunday night, it was almost like, okay, well, this is going to happen. They're going to win this game. And then when Brady got it on Monday night, it was like, how's he going to win this game? It never felt like it was going to happen. And that's basically why I'm going to take the Chiefs. It's impossible to bet against, in my opinion, Patrick Mahomes on a spread this big. I'd gladly take this. And I know the Bucs can play really well, but they're wildly inconsistent. And I just don't love what I'm seeing from Brady. I think this could end up being a really good game. But in the end, it's hard for me to bet against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, especially with a spread this size.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Mahomes go up against a really good Tampa Bay defense. But I wish I could say I'm really looking forward to seeing Mahomes going up against Tom Brady. But like Tom Brady, at least the one we've seen of late, is not the Tom Brady that we remember. And this offense, quite frankly, is not what we thought it was going to be. They've kind of taken a dip since they've got Antonio Brown. Last week, they had 0 plays over 20 yards. And Brady, when trying to push the ball past 15 yards, was 1 of 9 with 2 interceptions. In that one completion, it was for 18 yards, where Mahomes is just the opposite, specifically in the fourth quarter, where his QBR was 96.4, highest in the last 15 years. He's just playing at an entirely different level. That team really, minus the blip against the Raiders, it has been the class of the league, despite the fact that by 1 game the Steelers have a better record. And so I think in 2 teams that we thought might have been potentially a Super Bowl preview, I like Kansas City in this one. And so 3.5 points is great value, I think, for me. The Sunday nighter has the Chicago Bears going to the Green Bay Packers, an NFC North matchup in Green Bay, 7.5-point favorites at home. Who do you like in this one?
The best part about last week's show was the fact that I didn't have to pick a Bears game because they've given me nothing but headaches all year long. That being said, after watching what the Packers did on Sunday against the Colts, which was essentially blow a 2-touchdown lead and turn the ball over 4 times, I'm not entirely convinced that they're going to be able to beat a good Bears defense by a full touchdown. This is an in-division game. It's going to be a night game in Green Bay. The conditions could be tough, and the Bears defense is good in this kind of weather. And there are huge questions about Chicago's quarterback, Nick Foles or Trubisky, if Foles can't go. But I think it's going to come down to the defense, and I'm going to take the Bears to end up keeping this game within a touchdown.
I don't think they're going to, because I don't think they're going to be able to score. And now, Bill Lazor's calling the plays, taking those duties over from Matt Nagy. He's had the bye to be able to implement some things. But what's not going to change is they're still last in the NFL in rushing. They still can't run the ball. We know that Nick Foles needs that play action threat really to be able to dial up some deep passes, because he himself is not really a run threat. So I just don't see how they manufacture enough offense. Even if Green Bay stubs their toe a little bit offensively and keeps them around, I don't see the Bears, who have been somewhat putrid on offense, keeping this close. And so I'm actually going to take Green Bay in this one. The 7.5 points is not that scary for me. I like Green Bay winning easily. I don't know how easy the next game is going to be on the eyes, but the line is maybe closer than I would have thought. Seattle going to Philadelphia. The line started at +3 Philly. It's now +5. Seattle favored by 5 points. Where are you going in this one?
As someone who has watched every Eagles game, I can almost guarantee it won't be pretty on the eyes. And for that reason, this is a gift of a spread, because I probably would have taken Seattle by double digits. Seattle's coming off what was probably their best win of the season, not only because the offense got back on track, but because they were able to stop Kyler Murray and the Cardinals offense, the best defensive performance they've had all season. And they won't even need that against the Eagles, who, like we said earlier, end up doing the damage to themselves. The offensive game plan is all over the place. Carson Wentz is turning the ball over a lot for many different reasons. And I have no reason to think that Monday night's going to be any different. So I'll gladly take Seattle by 5.
Yeah, I like Seattle as well. And it's more to do, again, with Philly. And Carson Wentz really struggling. League high, 14 interceptions. He's been sacked 33 times when he's held the ball for 4 seconds or longer in his career. And the real question for me about Seattle was going to be about their defense. But now they've got Carlos Dunlap. They're starting to get a little bit more of a pass rush, and I think that'll be a recipe for success in this game. And if Seattle's getting league average defense, we know how good Russell Wilson and that offense has been, and they're a really scary team down the stretch. So I'm going to comfortably take Seattle in this one. Having said that, who is your survivor pick this week? It's getting late, so we got to get a little bit more adventurous with those picks. Who you got?
Ooh, adventurous is perfect for the team that I'm going to take here, because I really am putting my life into my hands with this one. But I'm going to take the Giants. I'm going to take the Giants to beat the Bengals on the road, and hopefully be able to survive another week with what's probably the silliest, riskiest pick I've made yet.
I'm going to take the LA Rams. Not as adventurous, but team that's still on the board, because we weren't sure early in the year how good they're going to be, and maybe a bit of recency bias because they play good in prime time, but I think they're going to get another comfortable win against a Niners team that is really, really struggling. So this game was scheduled for the nighttime game on Thursday, but it's been pushed to Sunday because of the spread of COVID-19 within the Baltimore Ravens facility. The facility is closed. 4 players tested positive, 5 staffers as of right now. We'll continue to monitor that, but they have a tough task, not just fielding a healthy team, playing against the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers, who are favored by 5 points. So this line might continue to move as we get closer to Sunday. It started at 2.5 points. It's already doubled. Gilo, where are you leading in this one?
Yeah, before the COVID announcements and the movement of this game, I was leaning Baltimore, because it's just really hard for me to believe that this team will continue to struggle the way it has, go to 6-5, and be on the outside looking in of the playoffs. But there's just so much in Baltimore's way right now. You mentioned the COVID-19 cases, the fact that they're going to have to move this game, but also injuries. The offensive line is dealing with a lot of injuries. And on top of that, or maybe because of that, the offense has really not worked well under Lamar Jackson so far. So without running backs, J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram with some offensive line trouble, and an offense that just doesn't look like itself right now, I have to go with the Steelers, who are playing at the top of their game.
They are, and they've got, I mean, not that I need extra motivation for in-division matchup against a rival, but, with a win, they can already, and it's American Thanksgiving, already clinch a playoff spot with a Raiders loss and a Dolphins loss, but still, they're that close to securing one of their goals, and Ravens offense isn't really close to looking like it did a year ago when Lamar Jackson was the MVP. He's 1-2 in the last 3 games when they were leading by 10 points. They can't run the ball to maintain a lead, and they can't throw the ball to get back into games when they're down. For all those reasons, I like Pittsburgh to win this one big time.